Hello guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel.
In today's video, Ant's going to be talking about GU and I'm going to be talking about Euro USD.
But before we get into that, make sure you like, comment, subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss any more content.
So let's get to it. Hey, welcome back guys. I'll be running through Euro USD today, starting on a daily, doing top-down analysis, working our way down the timeframes. Let's get straight into it and start on the daily chart. So as you can see on the daily chart here, we've got this beautiful ascending channel which we're currently trading in. As you can see here, we have multiple touches on the upper trend line from the 10th of March 2020, then August time 2020, then January, start of this year 2021. Then on our lower trend line, as you can see here, March 20 as well, multiple touches. And we recently had our touch here on the 31st of March 2021. So as you can see, a very well respected ascending channel, which we can obviously be looking for our buying positions off this. Now, if I draw your attention to most recent price action, we can see that we've had this daily uptrend while inside this ascending channel, which is very, very nice. We're mixing higher time frame sort of trend lines and chart patterns in order to add confidence to our trades. And as you can see, a very, very nice uptrend with three rejections off this trend line, as we're using it as support. Very, very nice. As you see, these nice morning stars happening throughout this level. But most recent daily candle close has closed with a pin bar, which is very, very nice. As you can see, just looking at it, it's very, very nice. As you see, the sellers have stepped down, the buyers step back up, leaving us this massive wick to the downside. And what this has done is it's failed to break below our daily level of support and resistance. So just identifying once again, a bias is still saying, no, we still got a bit more momentum here, we still got a bit more push, we don't want to break to the downside as of yet. And as you can see, boom, it's very, very clear with this pin bar. That's really, really all on the daily time frame. As you can see, our long-term targets are going to be around here where we have that wick to the body. Be very, very nice to get something into here, but when I break down the smaller time frames, we will be able to see that we'll be targeting a lot more short-term targets, as we don't want to be too greedy, but something I'll run through later on in the video. So let's jump on the 4-hour chart. Boom. So on the 4-hour chart now, what can we see? So as you can see, we saw this big fat 4-hour bearish candle close. Now, what this would have done is entice so many retail traders to step into the market and try to sell that. What they'll do, they see that big fat bearish and goblin candle, and then while the next candle starts to wick up, they will be looking to try sell it in hope that price is just going to come straight down. But in order for this to happen, we would need such a more daily sort of close. So we would saw price continue back further, and then we come back and retest, and that's where we'd be looking. We don't want to be entering off the impulse. As you can see, they would have got stopped out, and that's literally what this was. It was a trap. It was a retail trap to get them selling the market and hope that it will come down. Now, what else would have happened from here? We would have seen people be entering the market in around this level, potentially their stop loss targeting, like I said, that higher time frame target for about 1.234, and their stop losses would have been tight just below this area of support. And once again, it looks like price done a bit of liquidation where they come grab the SL, grab the sell orders here, and then boom, price then continues all the way back up. And once again, it's just a trap for retails that has just happened right here. So let's jump down on a 1-hour time frame, try pinpoint some sort of 1-hour chart patterns to then go into next week. So as you can see here, I'm going to delete that and that. What does it look like performing? Well, if I can get this out, it looks like we might have a potential inverse head and shoulders pattern where this is our left shoulder here, our head, which we saw that manipulation play out, and then our right shoulder, which is here. Now, if this plays out, it'd be beautiful. It'd be a perfect inverse head and shoulders, but how will we trade it is something I'll explain right now. So what we'll do is we'll allow price to come back and form this right shoulder. It's not confirmed yet that the head and shoulders is completed, so we need to wait for that to happen. We can't just be buying recklessly. because all price could do is just continue back down here and we start forming bearish market structure, which can easily be done. So once that right shoulder is formed and we get that strong impulsive push to the upside and we break our neckline, that will then give us the confirmation we need to start looking for the buys and the pullback of that impulsive move. Just by doing so, we then break this level of resistance in the market and then ensuring us that the buyers are stepping in control and taking control of this market. So what we will see from that impulsive move is a correction back down to retest our neckline. From the retest of our neckline, we can look for chart patterns as well, like falling wedges, anything along those lines, to then look for a selling opportunity at the neckline. And once again, we could even potentially draw in Fibonacci depending on where the right shoulder is to the impulsive move. It all depends. So we need to wait for all that to happen, and then we can then take a trade off that. So once all our parameters have been checked and it's time for entry, we'll then be looking for entry probably around the neckline level here on the retest of this area of support and resistance. And then from there, we'll look for that impulsive push to the upside, that continuation, and targeting our daily high, which obviously on the 1 hour looks like this beautiful double top here. We don't want to be too greedy. We don't want to be targeting, like I said, the long-term target of about 1.23. We know price can potentially get there, but how we would trade that is we'll take our profits here. Once price does break up here, we then look for a correction back down and look for that continuation to our higher time frame targets. Reason why we don't want to be holding it all the way up there is because this price recently had this area here where we saw a massive decline in the market. So who's to say that it might not happen again, where we actually break all type of structure and we break exactly something along those lines here. We might break something like that and we come crashing all the way down to the downside and have a sell-off, because we've previously done that, as you can see from this move here. So it's not to say that it can happen again. That's why you can't be greedy with your targets. That's the last high, let's target that, because that's where the last time price had a sell-off. So yeah, that's really all for Euro USD going into next week. We'll be looking for that short-term target, and then once we break that, we're going to look for that long-term target of about 1.234. So yeah, until next time.
Right, guys. So I'm going to be breaking down GBP USD going into next week, breaking down some analysis for you guys. So looking at this pair on the higher time frames on the weekly chart, we can see that price was previously, looking back from 2016, 2017 and forward, we were in a strong downtrending market. However, since the drop due to coronavirus conditions in the market, ever since then, when we had this big drop to the downside in March of 2020, ever since then, we have flipped in from bearish market structure, to bullish market structure, and we are now uptrending. However, price has now reached a key resistance level in the market through here, 1.42, so a psychological level, a rounded up number where banks and big institutions are probably targeting and looking to take their profits. And when we go down to the lower time frames, we'll be able to actually visually see where these big institutions and banks are taking their profits from price action. So yeah, ever since we've broken out of this resistance level here, we broke above there, and we've just been continuously making bullish market structure from a higher time frame perspective. Let's drop it down to the daily time frame now, zoom in a little bit more. We can see that there was a little bit of bearish market structure going on where we were downtrending. If I just get the pencil out. So ever since we reached resistance, so we have already touched 1.42. And as predicted from previous videos, we were predicting for price to come back up and touch this level again for a second time. So yeah, as I was saying, we were downtrending, we were forming lower lows and lower highs until we finally created this double bottom in the market, where clearly the higher time frame people who are dominating the market took over again, not allowing the market to form a lower low and break below here. And instead, we saw this big bullish impulsive move to the upside, creating this higher high. So ever since we made that higher high, we have again just been in bullish market structure, and we have just been looking for our buy positions. So if I just delete some of this, looking at chart patterns as well, ever since, well, from this double bottom and when we flipped, we did actually form an inverse head and shoulders. We could say this is the left shoulder, the double bottom being the head, and then we pulled back here and we created the right shoulder, and then we just impulsed away. So that's another thing we could say as well. So we're looking at the market structure, we are bullish. However, we've got to keep in mind that we are now back up to a very strong level where sellers could easily be interested in this market. As you can see here, sellers clearly took control of this market. But the difference is now is this one, we saw a quick reversal, whereas now, once we drop down to the lower time frames, we are very consolidating, and there's a lot of decision making going on at this level, and we need to be patient and wait to see what happens next. So what time frame on daily? Let's drop down to the 4 hour. So looking at the market structure as well, we can clearly see we were forming these bullish impulses followed by these like bearish corrections. We were forming continuation patterns for price to just continue to the upside, something like that, like a bull flag. And then we impulse to the upside, we pull back, and we're basically just retesting previous structure. Here we're retesting previous resistance, which is also the neckline of the inverse head and shoulders. We're retesting that as support, and then buyers are taking control of the market. But yeah, what's actually happened once price has reached 1.42 is you can see clearly that there's no real direction in the market, because obviously we're forming the higher highs, higher lows, and then this is the most recent higher high. Then we form a higher low, but then price breaks to the upside, doesn't form a higher high, we form an equal high, pushes to the downside, doesn't form a lower low, forming an equal low, equal high, equal low, equal high again. So what are we doing right now is we are ranging. Neither buyers or sellers are in control at this moment, because we are at a very key level. So there's decision making going on, and we can predict that soon there is going to be a big move away from this level. And that's what we need to be patient for. We need to sit on our hands, and we need to wait to see what is going to happen next in the market. And obviously from here, because right now there's an equal bias, two things can either happen. We can either see buyers take control, where we see a break above this level, and then we can look for a retest of the resistance again to move to the upside. Very similar like what happened here, where we broke to the upside, we pulled back. That's what we're looking for here. We're looking for a breakout, and then we're looking for a retest to continue to the upside. And then obviously for sells, it's just the opposite. We're looking for a potential break to the downside here, and then we can look to trade lower. So either or could happen. Obviously we are uptrending on the higher time frame, so potentially some people might say that it's more likely to break to the upside, so they're going to place a buy here and there. So we don't actually know that. We can't just hope that something's going to happen. We need to actually be aware, and we need to calculate it properly, because if we jump back up to the daily, you can see that here we just had a big false breakout to the upside. So any kind of movement to the upside, we need to be careful that it isn't just a false breakout. If I was to look to the left of the chart over here, we can see here that price might need to come up to this level. So there is still a lot more room to the upside, where potentially we need to grab some kind of orders where the selling pressure is. So for example, we have this through here, and we look to the right about where price is, we might be able to buy up to this level. So that is something we might be able to need to consider, dropping back down to the 4 hour. So that's what we need to be careful of. So if we are looking for buys, we can potentially look to buy it into this level as a target, because we know from there, anything further is just greed. And then, yeah, so the same applies for sales. So we need to make sure it's not a false breakout, and we need to potentially just be targeting levels like that to start with. So yeah, this is GBP USD. Basically at the moment, it's just an equal bias, both buyers and sellers. It's like 50-50 at the moment. And we're going to wait for a confirmation of a directional bias by either price breaking to the upside of this this range, or breaking to the downside, and then we can look to either buy or sell. So yeah, that's GBP USD broken down for next week.
Thanks guys for watching this YouTube video. We really hope you took something away from it.
If you want to be a part of our team, make sure you click all the relative links below, and they'll take you anywhere you need to be.
So see you next time.